रेडियो हांजी 1674 AM ਦੀਆਂ ਤਰੰਗਾਂ ਦੇ ਉੱਤੇ ਸਾਰੇ ਹੀ ਦੋਸਤੋ ਸਾਰੇ ਹੀ ਲਿਸਨਰ ਦਾ ਦੋਸਤੋ ਸਵਾਗਤ ਹੈ। ਅੱਜ ਸਾਡੇ ਨਾਲ ਜੇਸਨ ਨੂਰ ਨੇ ਜੋ ਕਿ ਮੈਂਬਰ ਪਾਰਲੀਮੈਂਟ ਨੇ ਆਸਟ੍ਰੇਲੀਆ ਦੀ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਗਵਰਨਮੈਂਟ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਔਰ ਨਾਲ ਦੀ ਨਾਲ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਸਟੈਂਡਿੰਗ ਕਮੇਟੀ ਹੈ ਔਨ ਮਾਈਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਹੈ ਉਸ ਤੇ ਵੀ ਚੇਅਰ ਨੇ। ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਖਾਸ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬਾਤਾਂ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਦਾ ਸਮਾਂ ਹੈ ਸੋ ਅਗਲੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਉਹ ਮੇਰੀ ਇੰਗਲਿਸ਼ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਹੋਵੇਗੀ। ਆਪਾਂ ਸਾਰੀ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਹੈ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਸਵਾਲ ਜਵਾਬ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹ ਕਰਨ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ। ਉਮੀਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਤੁਸੀਂ ਸਾਡਾ ਸਾਥ ਇਸੇ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਜ਼ਰੂਰ ਦਿੰਦੇ ਚਲੋਗੇ। ਵੈਲਕਮ ਟੂ ਦ ਸ਼ੋ ਜੇਸਨ।
Thank you very much for having us on.
Look, election year,
Yes.
a lot of things is happening around. We heard a very good announcement for the Sikh Games as well. We heard a lot of announcements from the both parties in the state government elections as well. So do you think the similar priority or similar policies or similar kind of public relation campaign will go on in the federal elections as well?
Well, as a federal member of parliament, my electorate goes from Narre Warren to Berwick and Officer and right over to Pakenham, very strong Indian communities. And one thing I've always found, I look at my performance of delivering and making sure we deliver, then people respect that and hopefully vote for us on election day. One of the, I suppose, of the big exciting projects I got behind was Bunjil Place in Narre Warren. Anyone who doesn't know about Bunjil Place, it's won international awards for architecture. And one of the primary reasons for me getting behind that project, with its 800 seat performing arts centre, is because of our multicultural community, because I wanted to embrace, engage with whether it be the Indian community, the Sri Lankan community, the African community, Afghani community, and everyone comes together, and especially when you look at the Indian community, loving entertainment and performances. So to me that was really important. Today here we've made an announcement about the Sikh Games. Again, I've had the Sikh community come to me and say, hey, this really means a lot to your community, the Australian Sikh community. To me was one of those decisions I got behind to actually make sure I'd do everything I could to get the funding. In actual fact, it was hard to get the funding. I actually personally had to ring up the Prime Minister, and Scott Morrison, or ScoMo as we call him, and he loves the Sikh community too. And he said, well, I don't want to not see federal funding not go into the games and not have a fantastic local games here in Pakenham and Berwick and Narre Warren.
So we recently heard an announcement which is now a policy and it's already on the Home Affairs website about the parent visa. How excited you are with that new policy?
Yeah, well, one thing I'm very excited about having any time we can help, especially when it comes to family reunions and parents and bringing them out to Australia. That's something I've been very focused on. My office every day helps, whether it be Indian communities, when it comes to arranging for family reunion visas. So to me it's something I'm very excited about. And you have to look locally too. We have such a great Indian community here. They work so hard, very much involved in innovation, advanced manufacturing. In locally, one of the other big projects we have is what we call Mitta City, which will create below the Beaconsfield interchange 10,000 local innovation advanced manufacturing jobs. This will be great not only for the wider community, but in particular our Indian community, because we want to embrace the expertise of people, whether they've come from China, India, Sri Lanka, who come to Australia. It's like my wife was born in Hong Kong, using the great skills of other countries and bringing those skills to our country to make Australia an even better place to live.
Yeah, so we do have a concern, say, when the new parent visa, the cost is a bit high. We understand the Department of Home Affairs, they mentioned the definition, the visa application charge represent a contribution to the cost of the services parents will use in Australia for extended periods. Most visa holders will have a never pay tax in Australia but will benefit from using existing infrastructure. What does it mean?
Well, I think what we're saying, when someone comes out to Australia, they get to use, basically, as we spoke about, Bunjil Place, and when it comes to children going to schools and everything else like that. At the same time, my role, and I'm head of the migration department, if there's an issue which concerns a community group, then I take that issue up with the government and say, hey, listen, we're not happy about this. So decisions are made by departments all the time. The big picture is this, though. We have Australia is a place which everyone really wants to come to. And one of the other things I've led the charge for when it comes to people who, and it's happened sadly in this community, people who may be on a visa, commit serious crimes such as home invasions, carjackings, and I know the Indian community has suffered in the hands of this. My strong belief is, and I've pushed for legislation, that if you're on one of these visas, you should have your visa cancelled, because we want good people to come to the country, not people committing serious crimes.
Yeah, so the question still stands, Jason. When we talk about the cost, we done a radio show on this specific policy, and we got a very harsh feedback on the policy. Say, I am the taxpayer here,
Yes.
and say for example, one Aussie family is also taxpayer, which is local, and their parents on benefit. And if I want to bring my parents to use the same benefit, why they have to pay the extra amount of fees, which is 5,000 for one parent?
Yeah. Well, the issue is if people want to come to Australia all the time from all countries, so
But the taxpayer families,
sorry.
the taxpayer parents.
Well, put it this way: if there's an issue and we need to look at it, I'm happy to look at the issue. And that's the thing in government. If there's an issue which is upsetting certain groups or families, we'll look at it. But at the same time too, we have to be very fair about this too. Australia is a very generous community, and a lot of people want to come to Australia. We want to make sure when they come to Australia, everyone participates and helps with the Australian economy, so we can create more jobs.
So in this situation, like the reason why we asked this question, like per capita income for per Australian is low down a bit, which is may or may not be the concern. But when we talk about per capita income is low down, on the other side we're increasing the additional costs, say the insurance for the parents, because there is no Medicare facility, and the extra cost on the visa, and the airfare, I understand. So all these concerns, I think it's a kind of hot topic at the moment.
Well, and that's, if it's a hot topic, I'd love to know, and obviously it's a hot topic for you personally, and I'd love the Indian community to come to me, because we've had situations before where community groups are not happy with an issue. Then that's my role. I represent my local people. So my local people are not happy with an issue or fee or how it's working. I go back to the government and say we need to change this. And one of the things I've been very upfront and very passionate about is to make sure we still continue strong family visas, so Indians and other communities can bring their parents out. To me, that's something really important. That's what I love about the Indian community. They're a very, very big family community. We don't want to impact upon that at all. So that's something I'm very supportive of.
Another thing is, which is the permanent residence, non-contributory and contributory visa. For contributory, the fees is 50K, which is way too much when we talk about the working class families, or the families, those who are taking care of their kids. They do have ambitions to put their kids in the private school, or they give away that ambition to bring their parents. So what do you think, like, there will be a chance in the future when the government can reconsider this price?
Well, put it right, my mother-in-law came out to the country and we had to pay $50,000. So I can personally relate to that. I can also understand how difficult it is for someone on a much lower income. People can still come to Australia. But it's just the waiting list. If you're paying the 50 grand, you're just moving yourself up on the
But still 4 years wait for that.
I know, it's still 4 years wait, but I'm saying, but you can still put yourself in my office. I can say every single day, my office has people from the Indian and Sri Lankan community coming to me and saying, how can we assist? Now, that's something, again, we're always in government happy to look at. My role is representing my community. So if my community come to me and say, Jason, this is really impacting us, can you help out? But you're finding every single day I'm dealing with people coming on visitor visas, trying to come into the country. The problem we've had too, and I've just led a big migration inquiry into this, when it comes to the electronic visas, we've had, for example, in the last 2 or 3 years, we've had 27,000 electronic visas coming from Malaysia, of which as soon as they arrive, they apply for protection. And out of that protection, only 200 were actually determined to be in legitimate need of protection. So what does that mean? And this is the whole problem. The cost when they go through the appeals process is $50 million. It's coming out of the Australian government, it's coming out of the taxpayer, it's coming out of the Home Affairs Department, and also it's taking up 10 years. So this is the problem we have when we're trying to run the Home Affairs Department. If some groups are, what I say, milking the system, then sadly we have other groups too end up paying more. And so we have to get the balance right. So one thing I put through recommendations to say we need to fast track the protection visa application. So no longer can the person, whether it be from Malaysia or elsewhere, wait 8 years. And that to me is completely unfair. The Indian person's not getting that advantage. They have to wait 8 years, to me it's unfair. So they're the things I've been focused on. Once we get those under control too, I'm sure there'll be more money in the budget potentially to assist.
But at the moment, say for example, the family, those who are migrated here in 2007 till 2014, they are Australian citizens now. So they don't have a capacity, say for example, to support their parents still for 50k.
Understand that.
And then they go for the non-contributory, and they are in the age group of 65 to 70.
Yeah.
And by the time decision will come, they might be knocking on the graveyard. So,
Yeah. Well, put it this way. Again, I have put it this, I can tell you now, there's people here today at this event who've come to me with issues with trying to bring family members out to the country. Sometimes we can work within government to provide assistance, and I always look at the individual who's coming to me and see how we can help them out. So I always do that. That's my job, helping the local community. When the same time too, when it comes to government, the governments sometimes make decisions, and they're making the decisions in the best interests of the country, the Australian people. Remembering too, the other issue is you have to look at it. If you bring, and this is what the way the government looks at the issue, or the Department of Immigration. If you have a person, for example, who is an elderly person coming out to Australia, well, obviously they're going to need normally overall more medical attention than the younger person. It means, for example, they're going to be filling in hospital beds, and locally we're struggling with hospital beds. So these are the sort of things. That's why they have the fee of the $50,000. Looking at it, well, hang on, if you come into the country, it means if you have something wrong with you, you can actually pay a bit for yourself.
yeah. Another thing, say, when we talk about the services from the Home Affairs departments, I understand it's a big concern, but when we talk about the crime, we heard from the government say, okay, we will increase the police number. Now we have a concern in the Home Affairs. Are we going to increase the man force there as well to sort this issue out, the long waiting list?
So repeat that question, sorry?
Say, when we talk about the crime,
Yes.
and we heard from the government, okay, they will increase the police numbers. Yeah.
I'm federal. That's
Yeah,
state.
yeah. Say, for example, overall, when we talk about, even for the Australian Federal Police.
Yes.
Yeah, but when we talk about the Home Affairs Department, when we say, okay, it's a long waiting for the AAT appeals,
Yes.
and it's a long waiting for the contributory or
Yes.
non-contributory visa. So do you think we can put more people in place for the Home Affairs as well to remove that backlog?
I think you've just hit the nail on the head, and that's what I was talking about before about the fast track. The problem at the moment, we've got 30 or 40,000 people on protection applications being assessed through Administrative Appeals Tribunal. If we move that away from the Administrative Appeals Tribunal and go to what we call the Immigration Assessment Authority, it's more looked at paper based on documentation, not necessarily going before a committee. That'll save a lot of time and effort and a lot of resources in government. I can also say something which another recommendation I made in another inquiry, and this is where sadly we had people who were trying to basically come from India in particular. I saw this in Four Corners, and they'd been ripped off by educational immigration agents. And this was happening in India, it's happening all around the world. And one of the issues I found, it's very hard for a person in India to work out how to find out or complain about a potential dodgy migration immigration agent. So one of the key recommendations we have is have a website. So if you're in China, you can go and see and compare all the immigration agents to find out whether they're registered, to find out their track record, to save money, because that is one of the big issues too. Organised crime, whether it be in India or Malaysia or wherever else, is getting involved and is basically making the job of coming to Australia a lot harder. And people are losing good money. So you talk about before about people paying $50,000 to come here. What about those who paid $50,000 and got absolutely ripped off? To me, that's a greater priority for me to resolve.
That's a very good approach, Jason. And when you touch the education sector, we also have issues from, because lots of Indian investors, they invest in RTOs as well.
Yes.
Cricos registered and all that. They coming up with the point when a similar profile with the 6 in IELTS or year 12 overseas, they apply for the higher education, the risk is low. When they apply for the vet sector in Australia, the risk is high. So why is that? Like, why the higher education is getting more priority when we hearing announcements say free TAFE for diploma holders in Australia?
Well, you're talking about the free TAFE as a state Labor government. I'm federal, I'm a Liberal. I didn't make those announcements. So, but that's their problem. One issue I definitely found out though, when it came to universities, is the universities and came to education agents. There's no requirement to have a training course in place. You and I can just start an education agency tomorrow. To me, that's not good enough. They need to undertake a course, understand what they're doing, and because it's actually illegal, and people don't realise, it's illegal for an immigration agent to give advice about migration to Australia. So these are the issues we're trying to solve. When it comes to it's like Australia, we're a very generous place. We want to do all we can, whether it be state level, federal level, supporting education. And education sector is a huge industry for Australia. We have so many people, and locally, Federation University here in Berwick, I actually got just recently $40 million to go into that university to offer courses, entrepreneur courses, innovation courses, nursing courses, which will attract obviously a lot of local Indian students. It's something I'm very excited about.
Thank you very much, Jason. We are looking forward to work closely with you, and we are also looking for the answers which we talk about today.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for making the recommendations. Thank you. So ਇਹ ਸੰਜੀ ਜੇਸਨ ਵੁੱਡ ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਨਾਲ ਅਸੀਂ ਗੱਲਬਾਤ ਕੀਤੀ ਹੈ, ਕਾਫੀ ਸਵਾਲ ਨੇ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਕੀਤੇ ਨੇ, ਜਿਨ੍ਹਾਂ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਉਹਨਾਂ ਨੇ ਕਿਹਾ ਕਿ ਉਹ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦਾ ਫੀਡਬੈਕ ਮਾਈਗ੍ਰੇਸ਼ਨ ਜਿਹੜੀ ਪਾਲਿਸੀ ਆਈ ਹੈ ਪੇਰੈਂਟ ਵੀਜ਼ਾ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ, ਉਸ ਉੱਤੇ ਕਮਿਊਨਿਟੀ ਦਾ ਫੀਡਬੈਕ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਉਹ ਅੱਗੇ ਤੱਕ ਲਿਜਾਣ ਦੀ ਕੋਸ਼ਿਸ਼ ਕਰਨਗੇ। ਕਿ ਉਸ ਸਮਾਂ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜਾ ਅਸੀਂ ਅਕਸਰ ਗੱਲ ਕਹਿੰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਆਓ ਹੁਣ ਸਵਾਲ ਕਰੀਏ। ਜੇ ਅਸੀਂ ਹੁਣ ਸਵਾਲ ਕਰਾਂਗੇ ਤਾਂ ਇਸੇ ਹੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਸਾਡੇ ਸਵਾਲਾਂ ਦੇ ਜਵਾਬ ਹੈ ਜਿਹੜੇ ਉਹ ਮਿਲਣਗੇ। ਆਸ ਉਮੀਦ ਕਰਦੇ ਹਾਂ ਕਿ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਬੈਠ ਕੇ ਪੰਜਾਬ ਜਾਂ ਭਾਰਤ ਦੀਆਂ ਜਿਹੜੀਆਂ ਲੋਕ ਸਭਾ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨਸ ਹੋ ਰਹੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉੱਥੇ ਜਿਸ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਇੰਟਰਸਟ ਲੈਂਦੇ ਹਾਂ, ਉਸੇ ਹੀ ਤਰ੍ਹਾਂ ਦਾ ਇੰਟਰਸਟ ਸਾਨੂੰ ਇੱਥੇ ਲੈਣ ਦੀ ਜ਼ਰੂਰਤ ਹੈ। ਆਪਣੇ ਸਵਾਲ ਆਪਣੇ ਪੇਰੈਂਟਸ, ਆਪਣੇ ਬੱਚਿਆਂ ਦੇ ਭਵਿੱਖ ਨੂੰ ਲੈ ਕੇ ਜੋ ਗੱਲਾਂ ਬਾਤਾਂ ਅਸੀਂ ਕਰਨੀਆਂ ਨੇ ਉਹ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਥੇ ਕਰੀਏ। ਆਓ ਅਸੀਂ ਇੱਕ ਵਾਰੀ ਫਿਰ ਇਹਨਾਂ ਫੈਡਰਲ ਇਲੈਕਸ਼ਨ ਦੇ ਵਿੱਚ ਇੱਥੇ ਦੇ ਨੇਤਾਵਾਂ ਨੂੰ ਸਵਾਲ ਕਰਨਾ ਸਿੱਖੀਏ। ਅਮਰਿੰਦਰ ਗਿੱਦਾ ਪੈਕਨਮ ਤੋਂ ਸਾਈਨਿੰਗ ਆਫ।